Welcome, my friends, to the darkest corner. Today's tales are blood in the sand. Enjoy the story, and please like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great week.
I never believed in the bloodworm. As a paranormal investigator and amateur myth debunker, I've spent years chasing shadows, proving that what people call monsters are usually just nature, coincidence, or imagination. But this time, this one broke me. It started with a story from a small fishing town in Maine, Crescent Hollow. Locals whispered about a worm that surfaced in the tidal pools at night. Not an ordinary worm, but a creature that pulsed with crimson veins under translucent skin, feeding on the blood of anything that came near. Fishermen claimed it drained their catches dry before sunrise. Some even said it burrowed into people's flesh. It was the perfect story to expose. I arrived in Crescent Hollow in late September, right before the cold snapped in. The town was as dreary as its legends: fog-drenched docks, rusted crab traps, and boats rocking in black water. I set up my camera equipment in a small Airbnb near the rocky shoreline. The goal was simple: capture proof that the bloodworm was just a marine anomaly, probably a bristleworm or leech-like parasite exaggerated by fear and gossip. The first night, I walked down to the shore with a headlamp and a GoPro strapped to my chest. The tide was low, revealing slick rocks and shallow pools glowing faintly under the moonlight. I scanned the area and saw nothing unusual, just seaweed and the occasional crab scuttling by. Then I noticed something strange. In one of the deeper pools, the water seemed to pulse. Not ripple, not move with the tide, but throb, like a heartbeat. I leaned in closer and saw what looked like strands of red algae weaving through the water. They twitched when my light hit them. I dipped a small net in and scooped one out. It writhed against the mesh, glistening under my lamp. Its skin was almost translucent, and inside I could see veins, or tubes, pumping a thick, dark liquid. The thing was about 6 inches long, but it moved with a strength that startled me. I filmed it, narrating like usual. It appears to be a species of marine worm, possibly an oversized polychaete. Notice the coloration. That's not blood, just pigmentation. Then it bit me. Its mouth, or whatever it had, latched onto my glove, slicing through the rubber. I felt a sting, like a bee but deeper. I shook it off, watching it fall back into the pool and vanish instantly. My finger throbbed where it had bitten, but I brushed it off as irritation. Back at the rental, I cleaned the wound and continued reviewing the footage. That's when I noticed something. Frames of the water moving after I dropped the worm. Ripples formed from nowhere, spreading outward, as if dozens of other worms were writhing just below the surface. The next morning, I woke up to find blood on my sheets. My hand was swollen, and the veins near the bite looked darker, almost black. I tried to clean it again, but when I pressed on the wound, I swore I saw something move under the skin. That's when I realized this wasn't a myth. That night, I returned to the shore with stronger lights, gloves, and specimen jars. I wanted proof, something I could show the world. The air smelled metallic, like rust and salt mixed together. The water was unusually still. Then the pool began to bubble. Not like boiling water, but like something beneath was breathing. I crouched, camera rolling, and aimed my light. The entire surface shimmered red, as if blood had been poured into the ocean. And then they rose. Dozens of worms, thin as shoelaces, long as eels, emerged from the pool, twisting and knotting around one another. Their bodies pulsed with light, veins glowing like embers. I stumbled back, recording everything, whispering to myself, "This isn't real. This can't be real." The worms slithered toward me, not fast, but deliberate. Some hit the rocks and burst, releasing a dark red mist that smelled like iron and decay. Others reached the water's edge, retreating from the light. But one, longer than the rest, didn't stop. It climbed over the rocks toward my boot. I stomped down, crushing it halfway, but its front half kept moving. It latched onto my pant leg, wriggling up, I screamed, kicked it off, and it burst, splattering my clothes with that same red fluid. I stumbled back toward my car, dropping my equipment, slipping on the wet stone. When I looked back at the pool, I saw something that froze me to my core. The worms were retreating, not because of me, but because something larger was rising beneath them. The water split open, and a massive form surfaced, smooth, pale, and glistening with veins that pulsed in rhythm with my own heartbeat. I couldn't see its full shape, but I knew. Every smaller worm was just part of it. Extensions, veins, feeding lines. I don't remember running. I woke up in my car at dawn, parked miles away on the main road, barefoot, my clothes soaked in dried blood. My camera and lights were gone. When I returned later that week with local authorities, the pool was empty. The rocks were bare, but stained a faint, rusty red. They laughed at my story, of course, chalked it up to infection, hallucination, or exhaustion. But I know what I saw. And now, every night since that trip, I've been having the same dream. I'm underwater. Everything is red. And I can feel something moving inside me, pulsing in time with my heart. Last night, I woke up with blood on my pillow. And I think it's finally hatched. When I flew to Turkey last spring, I thought I was just getting a new start. A new look. It was supposed to be routine. 3 days in Istanbul, a simple hair transplant procedure, and then back home. But what happened in that clinic, and what followed me home afterward, made me question everything I know about what's real and what isn't. It started like any other medical trip abroad. The clinic was immaculate, modern, with smiling staff who spoke perfect English. They picked me up from the airport in a black van, offered bottled water, and drove me through the city's narrow, winding streets. Istanbul looked alive. Ancient stone mosques next to neon cafes, the smell of roasted chestnuts mixing with diesel smoke. My package included a 3-night stay in a small hotel near Taksim Square. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean. Except, the moment I stepped into my room, something felt off. The air was heavy, like static before a thunderstorm. The lights flickered once, and the bathroom mirror had a crack running right through the middle, like a lightning bolt frozen in glass. I brushed it off. Jet lag, I thought. That first night I couldn't sleep. Every few minutes I'd hear whispers, soft, breathy sounds coming from the bathroom. When I turned the light on, it stopped. When I turned it off, it came back. By 3 a.m., I finally forced myself to look into the cracked mirror. For a moment, I thought I saw my reflection blink out of sync with me. My own face moved a second too late, smiling when I wasn't. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, the clinic van arrived right on time. The procedure went smoothly. The surgeon joked about how Americans always come back 10 years younger. I smiled, though my eyes felt like sandpaper from exhaustion. They shaved my head, marked the transplant area, and began the micrografting. The anesthesia numbed everything except the faint pressure of tiny instruments tapping against my scalp. At some point, I must have dozed off, just a few minutes. But when I opened my eyes, the entire operating room had changed. The walls were dark, flickering like firelight. The nurses were gone. Only the surgeon stood over me, but his eyes were completely black. No whites, just voids. He leaned close and whispered in perfect English, "You shouldn't have looked into the mirror." I screamed, but no sound came out. My throat was locked. Then the lights snapped back on. Everything was normal again. The nurses, the sterile smell, the buzz of medical equipment. The surgeon asked if I was all right. I lied and said yes. That night, I covered the bathroom mirror with a towel before bed. Around 2 a.m., I woke to the sound of someone humming. A deep, low melody, like a lullaby sung through water. The towel had fallen off the mirror, and there was something inside it. A shape. It wasn't me, at least not exactly. The reflection's skin was darker, its smile too wide. It tilted its head, but I didn't. I just stared. Then it spoke. "Do you want to be beautiful again?" I froze. My mouth went dry. The voice came from inside my head, like a thought that wasn't mine. "You came here to change your body," it whispered. "But what if I could change your fate?" The reflection leaned closer until its forehead touched the inside of the glass. I could see small cracks spidering out from the impact, pulsing faintly like veins. "All you have to do," it said, "is let me in." I ran out of the room and didn't stop until I reached the hotel lobby. The night clerk stared at me like I was insane. Barefoot, shaking, blood trickling down my temple from where I must have hit the doorframe in my panic. He spoke softly in Turkish, then switched to English. "You saw it, didn't you?" I didn't answer. He sighed, reached under the counter and handed me a small pouch filled with what looked like black sand and herbs. "Keep this near your bed," he said, "and don't look into mirrors at night." Not here. I switched hotels the next day, but the dreams followed me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw firelight and shadowed faces whispering in languages I didn't know. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my scalp burning like the implants were being ripped out. On my last night in Istanbul, I woke to someone knocking on my door. Not once or twice, 13 times, slow and rhythmic. When I looked through the peephole, there was no one there. But when I turned around, every mirror in the room, bathroom, closet door, even my phone screen, was showing the same thing. A figure standing behind me. I felt breath on my neck, cold, dry, ancient. And a voice whispered, "You can't cover every mirror." I blacked out. When I woke up, it was daylight. My flight was in 2 hours. My bags were packed, the hotel room untouched except for one thing. The cracked mirror in the bathroom had a new fracture, one that curved into a shape that almost looked like a smile. It's been 6 months since then. My hair grew in fine. The transplant was a success, medically speaking. But I don't take selfies anymore. I avoid mirrors as much as I can. Because sometimes, when I do catch a glimpse out of the corner of my eye, I swear the reflection still smiles first. And every morning, before I leave my apartment, I find black sand on my pillow.